Now, I'm sure all of you have seen my last video because why wouldn't you have? Do you remember when I said someday it would be really interesting and fun to restore my pits or possibly a Kitfox Model 4? Well, I also said that I would probably never do it because of the time and the money that would be involved, but it looks like I'm restoring the pits. Now, I'm certainly not restoring this pits right now because I want to. I want to spend my time getting my Super Duty done and flying, but I was kind of forced into this. I had my mechanic come out today to do the annual condition inspection on this airplane. Once that was done, I wanted to renew my ad on Barnstormers and sell this airplane just to make more room in the hangar and kind of clear it out. But the things we found wrong were pretty bad, and we certainly couldn't sign off an annual inspection or a condition inspection, and I certainly couldn't sell it as it is. So the next best thing is to completely rip it apart and make it a brand new airplane. As you can see, I have spent the last few hours tearing as much of this apart as I can. I've got all the ailerons off, all four of them, canopy, the entire tail. I've got a pile of pits parts. That's elevators, horizontal stab, rudder, nose bowl, propeller. I have some other parts over on the shelf and a lot of it taken apart. The next step is to label and take off all of these flying wires, and then I can remove the wings. Then what I will do is I'm going to borrow Len's engine hoist again. I'll take the engine off and take all the metal off, rip all the fabric off, and restore it. Now let me tell you how all this got started. The first thing he noticed was there's a tab on the back of this bracket that was cracked. Not a big deal. I can take this off and replace it or have it welded and put back on. There were a few other minor things in the engine compartment. For example, one of them is, you won't be able to see it, but one of the nuts right up there where the end of my finger is, one of those nuts is gone on the exhaust. Let's see, I don't know if there was, I think that was all in the engine compartment. Now this is where the real fun began. This airplane has a fuel tank right here and then a header tank right down here. These aluminum, and they should be steel, but they have these straps holding this on that are made out of thin aluminum. Both of them on each side are showing signs of cracking. So both of those are cracked. Now we wanted to get a better look at that whole setup there, so we took off this panel and we can see that this bracket right here is supposed to connect up to here. It's completely broke. So that one's broke, and basically this header tank was just sitting down and kind of resting against the frame. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, you can see that in a pits, there's two straps that hold on the fuel tank. They're 1-inch steel straps, and you can, first of all, the first thing you notice is these are installed improperly. With these steel straps, they make kind of a C-shaped rubber boot that goes on here, sort of just like the rubber that's on an Adele clamp. And the previous restorer of this airplane did not put those on, and I can see under these straps that they just wrapped a bunch of electrical tape over the tank instead of using the rubber straps. Also, you can see here, this strap, I'm guessing when they restored it, probably had a crack in here. So what they did was they riveted on this piece here, but that piece is too short. And what that does now is it brings this bolt, it's pulling the bolt inward towards the tank. And you can see right here what it has done to the top longeron here. This is a complete break in the weld. This tube is broke because this little bracket that's welded to it that this bolt goes through, it was pulling this way and just broke that. Once I saw that, we just kind of stopped the inspection and said, all right, we're done. That was what kind of made up my mind to just to completely rip this airplane apart. You know, this airplane was built originally in the early 60s, and it's been restored or overhauled maybe a few times throughout the years, and the last time it's been completely overhauled was in, I forget the exact date, but it was the early 90s. And they recovered it and, you know, did a whole bunch of things to it. So it's going on, you know, 35 years now that nothing's been done to it. So it's probably time that it gets restored again. So now here's the problem with this is I don't really want to do this right now. I want to get that Super Duty done. I've got half of my house torn apart right now because I'm doing a complete remodel. I don't have the time or the money to rebuild this Pitts, but it's completely unflyable as it is now, or as it sits. So that's why I'm taking it all apart. I'm going to take the wings off. I'm going to put it all in the back corner of the hangar where it's out of the way. And, you know, when I'm bored, if say I just paint something on the Super Duty and I'm just waiting for it to dry and I don't have much to do, I can come in the hangar and work on completely disassembling this airplane. Now, what I am excited about, though, I mean, I'm excited about the whole project of restoring this and making it a brand new Pitts, but it'll be nice to redo all the electrical in it. I'll get rid of that 100-year-old radio that's in there and put in a modern radio. Who knows, I may do ADS-B or something like that. So it'll just be nice to have this as a brand new airplane. One of the things I'm debating about, though, is the paint scheme. I absolutely love this paint scheme that's on here. I love the colors. They call this the competition paint scheme because it has straight lines on the wing and the fuselage. And for competition flying, there's reasons for that. I think as far as I know right now, I'm going to keep the same scheme. But it is kind of fun to know that I'm going to completely recover the airplane. I could change up the paint scheme and do something different. I could put the traditional red, you know, Pitts paint scheme on here with this starburst on the wings. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep the same paint scheme, but it'll just be a brand new airplane in 30 years when I get it done. Now, to give you guys an idea of something else I'm thinking too. On my Super Duty, I have a carbureted engine in it. And the carburetor sticks down further than a fuel-injected unit. And what happens on the Super Duty is this air box that's on the bottom of the carburetor sits too low for the cowling. So on the Super Duty, I'm going to have to cut out the bottom of the cowl and fiberglass in like a new sort of scoop for it to make room for that air box. One of the things I'm kind of thinking about is I may rob the fuel injectors off of this Pitts. I could take this whole assembly and put it on the Super Duty, and then take this little spider here. Basically just transfer the fuel injection system from the Pitts to the Super Duty, because this is much shorter than the Super Duty, and this would fit inside the cowling. Also, what's interesting on here too is how they have the throttle cable mounted to here. Everything's set up nicely here. I'm really kind of thinking about taking this off and putting it on the Super Duty. I would have to change probably a couple fuel lines, probably the fuel pump. There would be a little bit of work to do that. So anyway, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about doing. I may or may not do it. I don't need this unit. I mean, guys, literally this airplane's going to be sitting here for years. This is not something that's going to be done anytime soon. I'm going to take the engine off and probably have it rebuilt or top end overhauled, or I don't know, whatever a mechanic recommends. But there's 1,200 hours on that engine. So I have to do that. And again, I'm not ready to dump a bunch of money into that engine yet. So this Pitts will be a long project. It's going to be sitting here stripped down for a long time. So I'm thinking I might as well maybe rob some parts off of it for the old Super Duty. Well guys, that was just a quick update on my Pitts. Thanks for watching. I got work to do. I'll see you next time.